The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus told this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and regarded others with contempt. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, was praying thus: God, I thank you that I am not like other people, thieves, rogues, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give a tenth of all my income. But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even look up to heaven, but was beating his breast and saying, God, be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his home justified rather than the other. For whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted. This is the gospel of the Lord. Okay. So this weekend we begin a new message series. And the message series is called Insomnia, the Lies That Keep You Up at Night. It's a 5-week series. If to help your insomnia, just replay this homily via the YouTube channel when you go to sleep, and you'll fall right asleep. No problem. See, that's the end of the homily. You wish. You wouldn't get your money's worth that way, right? So this is a 5-week series, and it's about, and it's linked to the readings every week, and it's really a chance for us to explore and to look at those worries, those frustrations, those difficulties in our lives that keep us awake at night. Genuine concerns or struggles that we have, whether it's to do with our relationships, with our spouse, with our children, maybe money fears, maybe the fear of not being accepted, all these worries and concerns that are so real to us, that don't allow our hearts and our minds to have peace, health concerns, all those things that challenge our stability and our peace. And the unfortunate thing is those concerns and those worries sometimes can kind of wrap us up so much that they become bigger than sometimes they are, and they distract us so much that we kind of drift and forget about the gift of our faith and how our faith allows us to offer some clarity, allows it to be an anchor for us, and kind of dispels some of our fears and worries and concerns and brings us some peace. So that's what we're going to be looking at as myself, Father Pedro, and Deacon Dennis, Deacon Mark preach in this series. And the first one I want to look at is the fear of abandonment and rejection. Definitely a challenge for us in our lives. And we can take a look at that kind of in 3 ways: others, God, and ourselves. There's no question all of us can bring to mind times in our lives, situations and circumstances in which we've felt rejected or abandoned by others. This struggle, like in school or in the workplace, maybe sometimes even in the parish, to try to be able to fit in, to be accepted amongst friends, co-workers, the different things that we do. The last thing that we would want to be, concerned about or worried about is again just being accepted, being included, being received, and being part of a group. And yet we all know those struggles, the societal pressures, the peer pressures of trying to fit in, to be accepted and to be welcomed. Well, believe it or not, we can sometimes feel abandoned or rejected by God, sometimes feeling not good enough, not holy enough, not talented enough to be used as an instrument of God's grace, or that God can't love me because I'm too much of a sinner. And sometimes that prevents people from going to the sacrament of reconciliation. God can't forgive me for what I have done. And it might seem that God abandons us or rejects us. And of course, ourselves. We can reject or abandon ourselves because we might not think we're good enough, we don't look good enough, we don't do anything well. We can be disappointed in the lack of maybe certain goals or achievements that we wanted to accept and acquire. And we can reject ourselves. All of these are real experiences that many of you have encountered. And they can be very overwhelming. And the biggest reality is the fear of being alone, not being connected with others, feeling distanced from God, and maybe not even knowing or liking ourselves. And we feel alone. But this is where the gift of our faith, if we allow it and we tap into that gracious gift, allows us to kind of dispel those fears, dispel those worries, and dispel those experiences, and recognize the underlying truth of God's everlasting love. Even in the second reading, St. Paul, who was commissioned to go out and proclaim the good news, was even abandoned by his friends. At my first defense, no one came to my support, but all deserted me. May it not be counted against them. Sometimes, when we stand up and have to do the right thing as faithful followers of Jesus, we step out and sometimes people will abandon us. Or when sometimes we hit tough times, we feel like no one cares, or they do kind of drift away. But St. Paul goes on in this reading and says, "But the Lord stood by me and gave me strength so that through me the message might be fully proclaimed." No matter what challenges we face and the people who turn away from us, or we sometimes turn away from ourselves, God is always there for us. He's always there for us to strengthen us and to walk with us. And yet we do have to kind of move towards him as well if we feel distanced from God. And that's revealed to us in the gospel today as the tax collector and the Pharisee go and pray in the temple. And Jesus says, "But the tax collector standing far off would not even look up to heaven, but was beating his breast and saying, 'God, be merciful to me, a sinner.'" And what he was saying is, "Lord, help me. Lord, save me. Lord, strengthen me. Lord, love me." God loves us for who we are, not who we think we're supposed to be. God loves us and sees us as a precious gift. And so we need to run to him as we know he's close to us, but we need to encounter him. And we hope that our parish family is that place where everyone is loved, everyone is accepted, everyone is embraced, everyone is recognized as a precious gift. Everyone can see the grace of God, not only in the Eucharist, in the sacrament of reconciliation, but by being greeted at the door, by the prayer partner before Mass, during the sign of peace before receiving Holy Communion, during St. Drogo's Cafe afterwards. You know, we have that amongst a lot of different social opportunities, and they're nice social events, but they're not just that. Those social gatherings like we will have right after Mass is that chance for us to remind ourselves that we're not alone. We're not abandoned. God is not far off, but that we're also brothers and sisters as one family. By taking the time, by having, I think we have chocolaires, we have hot apple cider, we have these little muffins. I've had 3 already. But the chance to engage and encounter, because you don't know what the person in the pew behind you or in front of you is going through. We might not know, and we might never know. We don't need to know. But they may need you to be with them so that they know that God stands beside them and that we as a community of faith take care of each other. So as we continue in our Mass, we can think about those moments and times where we felt rejected or abandoned, and we know how painful that is. But it doesn't stay there. Our faith reminds us that we are all precious gifts to one another. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all called to take care of each other, and the Lord is always there. And an easy way to draw to him is to be humble. Like the tax collector who says, Lord, I need your help. Lord, love me. The Lord does love us for who we are, not who we think we're supposed to be or whatever. He loves us right here and right now. And we are called to do the same, to love one another and to know that we stand with each and every one of us.